Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Bestech Malware. Very cool name for a knife and pretty darn cool knife, I do have to say. I do want to start this off with a bit of an apology. I am by no means one of the first people to review this, and honestly, I should have been, because it is a collaboration between Bestech and Todd Knife and Tool. One half of Todd Knife and Tool is Todd. We all know him as Zelric42 on the YouTubes and the Instagrams and all that stuff. Great guy, and he designed this with his brother, and I reviewed their Roxy they did with Wii. It was their first one they did. This was the second one. I really should have gotten my hands on one sooner. I meant to, and then it always just kind of got pushed back, and I feel bad that I wasn't one of the first people to review it, because he's a great guy, and you know what? I do really like this knife in the end, so I am very glad that I did finally get my hands on it. But as I told Zelric, bad friend, I should have done it sooner. This top one is actually Zelric's actual knife. He handed it to me at Blade Show, so this one has a few more miles on it. The other one, this carbon fiber version, is part of the pass around group, so that came through. They also passed around one just like this, but I've been using Terrell's, so I didn't really need to do that. But anyway, yes, it does come in many configurations. They all, look the same. A very futuristic-y, cool design, I do have to say. I really like it. I liked it in the pictures, and I like it even better in person. You get it with either the titanium scales or the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber is a bit more rare, but the carbon fiber with the satin blade is available at White Mountain Knives if you go to whitemountainKnives.com right now. And that's the version that I really want, so please don't buy them all, because I would like to get one. But you can use the code SDWMK at checkout, get 10% off. That applies for anything on White Mountain Knives, so use that anytime you want to. I always make sure that's linked in every description of every video down below, but go check that out. Yeah, very, 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 very cool looking knife. It's definitely very futuristic-y. I'm going to use the plain titanium version because it shows the features more for most of this video, but on camera it just shows up better. But yeah, you can get the black wash blade, black wash on this side. If you get the black wash blade, they're all blacked out, or you can get this satin version with the carbon fiber scale. Yeah, it's definitely very angular. It's definitely a Todd Knife and Tool knife. Absolutely, they definitely have a design language. They have another new knife coming out from Wii, the Roxy 4, and some other stuff in the pipeline. They have a design language that no one is going to mistake as anything other than a Todd Knife and Tool knife, and that's great. That's what you got to do. You, as a fairly new designer, you definitely have to differentiate yourself from everybody else, and they absolutely have. It is a big knife for sure. We'll get into that, and when we get into the specs. Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking knife, and closed even it looks pretty great. I have to say, maybe this is one of these rare occasion that the knife looks almost cooler closed than it does open, which is not an insult. That's just really cool. As you can see on the black wash version, it is the same as it is on this. You get around these three little speed holes, I guess we'll call them. Nice finishing around there. Bestech did a very good job with the finish on it. I'm not always a fan of coated blades, but this does look pretty cool. If you go for the black wash version, it does look pretty awesome. I do like that. I don't mind coating nearly as much when it's kind of tumbled and stuff like that. I think it looks great. Fairly minimal billboarding. You've just got the Todd Knife and Tool logo on the pivot. You have the Bestech logo over here, and S35VN. That's about it. I have no problem with any of that. I think it's a really awesome looking knife. I think it probably is a love it or hate it knife. It definitely is not, just looks wise, it's not something you want to expose to the timid, I guess is what I would say. Yeah, it is kind of a scary looking knife to some people. If you whip it out in public, somebody may alert the church. You don't know what's going to happen. But it is, because it's a big knife and it is very angular. And Wharncliffe blades, I've just found Wharncliffe's seem to intimidate people more. I don't understand why. They're just very useful blade shapes for utility stuff, but I don't know. It seems like Wharncliffe's look more aggressive to a lot of people. Just what I've experienced. Purely anecdotal evidence there, but that's just what I've experienced. But I think it looks great. I think knife guys are going to think it looks great, but we'll see what other people think. All right, we're going to put the carbon one aside for the stats. This is the stats in the titanium model. The only difference is that the carbon one is slightly lighter. but this one is not heavy, as you will see. Overall length, 8.75 inches. Blade length, 3.9 inches. So yeah, you can see pretty long blade. You have a blade thickness of 0.15 inches, handle thickness of 0.5 inches, and a weight, according to my scales, this titanium version, 3.7 ounces. And I weighed this one in at a little under 3.5. So yeah, not too bad at all. Pretty good weight for, definitely for a blade this size. I shouldn't say not too bad. It's awesome for this much blade length. It is a very slender blade, but still, that's a really good weight. It is pretty lightweight for what a gigantic knife it is, for sure. We're going to use this one for most of this review because, as I said, it's the most broken in one. Yeah, I as far as that blade goes, I really like the blade shape. I've always liked Wharncliffe's. I think this is a cool looking one. It works great. Fairly thick blade stock, but it's pretty thin behind the edge. It still slices really well. And because it has a bit thicker blade stock, it comes down to this narrow little tip. And you'd think, that's just going to snap right off if you're doing something stupid with it. Not really. It's really not that skinny of a tip. It's really not that bad. I don't know if it's shown on here well, but it's really like a PM2 has a more snap prone tip than this does. I really like this blade. It's one of my favorite things about it. And now, is it an amazing slicer? No, it's got pretty thick blade stock, and it's pretty, it is a pretty flat grind. It's pretty abrupt getting up there. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's pretty darn good. This one was Terrell, so I don't know what he did to it. But this one has just been through a few reviewers, and it was still very, very sharp. I don't know what how much he sharpened it or whatever. This one was not quite as sharp, but I think when he handed it to me, he said, you should probably sharpen this. He actually just handed it to me at Blade Show. I actually just threw it in my backpack. He didn't even hand it to me. I just said I wanted one. He said, I threw a Brian Speck one in your backpack. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I really like the blade on it. I think it's pretty cool. Reach for days for sure, if that's something you care about. Blade edge for days, if that's something you care about. But yeah, pretty big fan of the blade. Ergonomically also, you know what? It works. It definitely works. The Roxy I had one little issue with, and that's why I don't own it anymore. Because with all this angularness, if an angle hits you in the wrong place, it's not going to be good. But this one, you have so much real estate that it doesn't. And this fits my hand extremely well, no matter how I grab it. I was not expecting to like the ergonomics on this nearly as much as I do. Really good jimping up here in the blade, just enough without being too aggressive. It looks really aggressive, but it really isn't when you feel it. There's not like sharp edges or anything. Hand wraps around it well. I was worried about this pocket clip being a bit edgy. It really isn't. And by the way, style-wise too, that's another very, very Todd Knife and Tool thing. These stylized pocket clips, the way they do that, that's a very, very, I think, cool signature of theirs, and this definitely has that. But no, it's not. No real hot spot, no nothing. And forward finger choil, you can choke up. You guys know I like that, and it works great like this. It works supremely well like this. Again, I have skinny fingers, but I still think even with a fatter finger, you're gonna fit in there fine. Man, that was a lot of F's in one sentence. But yeah, I really, really like the way this fits in my hand. I have to say, I really, really do. It works great. Carry-wise, not deep carry by any means. Machine titanium pocket clip, you kind of expect that. But you're going to have a fair bit sticking out. But it's a fairly thin bit that's sticking out. Old Wranglers are retired. I haven't cut up a new pair of pants yet for it, so I apologize for not showing it in a pocket. But yeah, you've only got just that much sticking out. Yeah, it's kind of obvious you got a knife in your pocket, but it's not crazy. But other than that, as far as sliding your hand past it and all that stuff, it works fine. This flipper tab is very well hidden by this nice little cutout there. I think that was a very nice little touch. Yeah, it's really not hard to carry at all for a knife this size. A little bit sticking out of your pocket, but other than that, it's really not a hard knife to carry at all. Not at all, not a bit. Action is it's a lot of fun. It's a fun knife for sure. Detent on both of them is outstanding. I'll bring the carbon one back out. Carbon one doesn't make quite as cool a sound as the titanium version, I will say, but that's kind of universal. Carbon always kind of absorbs sound a little bit, so you don't get that cool noise. But you can do whatever you want with it. Normal flipper, Spidey flick it, thumb flick it, all those things, and it works great. The detent is dialed in extremely well. That was one thing with Bestech, and maybe like, year and a half ago that I didn't like, was sometimes I had to tweak the detents a bit. Every Bestech I've gotten lately, especially these higher end ones, which this is a higher end knife for sure. If I didn't mention before, you're looking at $196 and $208 for the carbon version. So yeah, they're not cheap knives, but I really do think that the Bestech quality in that price range, as far as the detents go, they've really started to nail the detents and stuff. So the newer Bestechs in this price range are always really good, and this is absolutely no exception. I said no obsession. That was weird. But what is my conclusion? I really like it, and I'm very upset that I didn't review one before. If funds allow in the next short amount of time, when they're still in stock at White Mountain Knives, I really would like to have this configuration with the carbon fiber scale. That's what they have in stock right now. And yeah, I could totally see owning one of these. $208 knife, but it's worth it. It really is. It's just whether or not you like this super techy, futuristic-y, Tron-esque design. I do. I've liked it on all of them. I've seen some of the upcoming stuff that looks just as good, like the Roxy 4 and everything. I really like the Todd Knife and Tool designs. Aesthetically, at least to me, I really do like them. The Roxy original, I had an ergonomic issue with. Like I said, that's why I don't still own it. But other than that, I really liked it. I really loved the way it looked. I really like the Malware though. It's my favorite of the two that I've used so far. But the Roxy 4, handling it, that is really nice, I do have to say. But I'll wait to see what it looks like, when the final production ones come out. But I definitely can recommend it. If you like the look of this, I think it's really, really cool. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.